Congress of South African Trade Unions has expressed dismay at the latest job stats. 68,000 jobs disappeared from the South African economy in the fourth quarter of 2012. Cosatu spokesperson Patrick Craven joins me now. Good evening, Mr. Craven. Thanks so much for coming in. Your two top concerns as those figures come out. I know you spoke in the statement about the fact that traditionally in the fourth quarter there are more jobs. It's the festive season. People are hiring. It didn't happen last year, and that augurs negatively for the immediate future.
Yes, in previous years, the number of jobs went up in that quarter and then down in the subsequent quarters. So that's obviously a cause for concern. But the most worrying thing about these statistics is that although the percentage unemployment rate went down slightly, the number of jobs that were lost that you've already mentioned would appear to contradict that. And the reason, I think, is very significant. And that's because the labour force as a whole has gone down. And that can only mean that a large number of people, and a growing number of people, have simply stopped making any effort to find work, have just become completely demoralised and marginalised.
Yeah, it's certainly a conundrum that Paddy Lahotla admitted to yesterday when we had him in the studio. But it's no longer, Patrick, about effective policy making around job creation. We've got a lot of great plans on the table. You've mentioned those in your statement as well. Among them is the new growth path. What is the obstacle then to the realisation of some pretty good ideas around how to create more jobs in this economy?
Well, there's no one single explanation. It's something we've all got to tackle together to turn words into deeds. We, as you say, have some excellent plans, the Industrial Policy Action Plan, the Infrastructure Development Programme. If all these were fully implemented, then we would start to turn around the economy, create jobs. Another problem, of course, is education. We still have a huge problem of people leaving school without being qualified to do the kind of work which is going to be necessary once these programs get running. And so that's a priority as well.
But statistically and practically, we haven't seen it happen in the past. There hasn't been that much energy at really creating real long-term sustainable jobs. What is your biggest concern if jobs do not enter this economy anytime soon?
Our main concern is what we've called the ticking time bombs, some of which are starting to explode. That unemployment breeds despair and hopelessness, and people get desperate. And we've seen that in some of the disputes recently, which have erupted spontaneously, not necessarily organised by anybody, which merely reflect that people are just absolutely fed up. They see no future. And this is very bad news for society as a whole.
But let's talk about the issue of strikes, and that really has taken centre stage, and not only just in general in this political context, but also at the mining indaba, which is crucial for South Africa. Striking doesn't seem to help anymore. There has to be a different way in which labour's concerns around better benefits are addressed. Are you thinking about putting pressure differently? I mean, especially in view of the fact that employers are saying, if this continues, we're going to have to shut shop. So it's going to be a lose-lose for employees. Yeah.
Trade unions have never relied on strikes, as your question suggests. Most trade union work is, in fact, involved in negotiations, bargaining, and things that happen behind the scenes and don't reach the headlines. Strikes only tend to erupt when all that has failed and it's a last resort.
Yeah, but mining and agriculture are two huge sectors, Patrick, and we've seen a series of strikes.
I was just going to come to that. In precisely those two sectors in particular, I'm sure it will spread to others, strikes were not called by trade unions. They erupted spontaneously. And while we fully understand and sympathise with those workers, it obviously does pose dangers for society as a whole, and even for those particular workers who may not be able to sustain improvements that they're able to achieve.
You're saying a lot happens with collective bargaining behind the scenes. It has been yielding benefits. We just haven't.
It has, but not enough, because clearly a lot of people are left out. And not just the unemployed, but clearly there are a lot of very angry and discontented employed people because their pay is so low, and we saw that in particular with the farm workers.
This is a developing story, Patrick. No doubt we'll have you back to discuss more, especially when the next labour figures come out around joblessness and employment in South Africa. Thank you for your time. Cosatu spokesperson Patrick Craven.